Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am using this pen as my inspiration, and it is an art print of some kind of foamy, bubbly ocean waves. And I thought, you know what? I got products that I can make foamy, bubbly ocean waves with. So I have these two photos printed on 1 4x6 of Ariel and Eric getting ready to almost kiss for the Kiss the Girl part of the ride. These are all animatronics. So I have a couple products I pulled out. I have the Kissy Fishies from my shop. I also have the wave stencil from my shop, and I pulled out a couple pieces of paper from Paper House. So these are waves and then the beach, but we're going to get rid of the beach part. And then on the opposite side are these beautiful starfish. And then I have this, these Puffy stickers from Paper House that I've used a bunch of, and I chose the word specifically hope because my title is going to be Hope for a Kiss. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I have my wave stencil taped down to my paper and also my mixed media mat underneath. I'm just taking my blender brush and my Close to My Heart ink, and I am going to put ink all over the waves where there are blue spots on the paper. I'm not going to make you watch me do this because I do spend a good amount of time doing it because I want dark waves on my paper. I definitely want you to be able to see the contrast between the color of the ink and the color of the paper. I do use this entire stencil with this bluebird ink color, and then I actually go in and pull out the sapphire ink color, which is a little bit of a deeper, darker blue, and I'm just going to put that in a couple spots. And you can kind of see where the darker blue is on the stencil. It's just going to be a couple spots just to give it just a tiny little bit of differentiation. You probably can't even see it on the layout once I'm finished, but here you can. You can kind of see where there are lighter spots and darker spots. So I pull off the stencil just to make sure everything's looking good, and then I'm going to replace the stencil on this sheet and just give it a tiny little bit of an offset. And what I'm going to do is take my Brutus Monroe Glitter Glaze, and the color that I'm using today is Periwinkle. And what I'm going to do is take my palette knife and just kind of push the glitter glaze up into that top edge of the stencil where I have the gap between my stenciled wave and the paper. Now I am not covering up all of the stenciled area with my glitter glaze. I am trying to get a top edge. And then I am okay with the glitter that goes over top of the stenciled ink as well. So it's going to be this sparkly, wavy bit. And again, I'm not going to make you watch all of that. So here we go. As you can see, the glitter glaze is on the top of the wave in some places and then all over the wave in others. So I'm going to go ahead and tear my paper. I'm kind of following the line that's over here on the paper. And then I realized, whoops, I'm kind of using the paper that I was going to use as a background. Now I did fussy cut out a couple of starfish out of that paper, but you guys never fear. I have a ton of this paper in my stash. I don't know, I have used this paper in the past. I did a sequin layout with it and I thought, oh my goodness, I need more. So I bought like 5 sheets of it. Whatever. So now I have a spare, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this layout, and then you'll be able to see little bits of the glitter glaze because it is not completely dry. Now I did go ahead and use a heat gun with this bad boy, but let me tell you, you know, sometimes you just want to scrapbook and you don't want to wait for things to dry, so you kind of force it with your heat gun, and then it's mostly dry, you know, mostly. So I'm going to go ahead and place that down on the page. I'm just trimming off the little bits because the top paper is a little warped from the moisture of the glitter glaze, and then on top of that, the heat gun. So, you know, it all works out though, it all works out. So I trim down my photos, and I know I want them kind of covering up this torn edge. So I go to my stash and pull out 2 6x6 papers. I trim each of them down to 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and that's going to give me just a slight matte on my photo. Usually if I'm doing a smaller photo like this, my matte's going to be smaller. It's going to be about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. If I'm doing a traditional 4x6 size photo, my matte's going to be 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So I just figure out which way I want my photos to be positioned, and then I tape them together, and then I'm going to tape them down over top of my line right here. So now I've got the photos down. I'm loving the way that this is looking. I'm feeling very Little Mermaid-y. So here are those little bits of the starfish that I cut out. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this one underneath of the bottom of the photo, and then the other one is going to go on top of the photo. The one over here on the left, however, I do decide to pop up on some foam squares, and that's just going to give me a little bit more lift and texture on the page. So I've already got a whole bunch of texture on this page. We've got the implied texture that's already there on the pattern paper. We've also got the ink. That is, again, it's an implied texture because it doesn't actually have texture to it. And then I have the glitter glaze, which is definitely a tactile thing, you guys. Like, it looks textured and you can touch it and it feels textured. So now I just got that little starfish up right there with a little bit of lift, and what that has done is kind of given me this little space that's kind of hugged underneath of my photos where I can go ahead and get my title done. Now originally I thought I was going to have my fish at the end of the title, but ultimately I decided I didn't like them there with the starfish because they look like they're kind of divided. And even though Eric and Ariel never actually kissed at this point in the movie, or in the animatronic ride right here, I still don't want the starfish kind of like, you know, keeping them apart. So I am going to use a couple of different alphabets. These are just older alphabets that I've had in my stash for a good long while. So now it says hope for a kiss, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the puffy stickers that were along with that word hope to just go ahead and decorate up the page. So I put the arrow there because I did not like the gap between the fish and that photo. So I put that arrow there, and I'm thinking in my head that something is going to go there. Like the arrow is pointing from the fish to something. Not exactly sure what I'm putting there yet, but I will figure that out. So I'm putting on the rest of these tiny little puffy stickers. I'm just creating a couple little bits of clusters. Now I find this white puffy heart, and that works for me. It fills in that little gap in a good way. I pull out a couple other white puffy hearts to pair with the bronzed hearts. Now I did glue down everything with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive for 2 reasons. 1, the sticky is not very good on all of these items, and 2, I am gluing down over top of glitter glaze. And anytime you glue down over top of glittered things, I always recommend a liquid glue. It just gets in those nooks and crannies really well to stick for you. I threw on a couple of those gems, one tucked under the starfish, one on top the starfish, and then I'm going to just drop down a couple of lines of journaling right above the photos. And then that is going to do it for this layout, you guys. Now I will have links to some of the products that I used down below, so you'll be able to check those out. And I will see you guys again real soon for another video.